Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we have another Getting Started with Age of Sigmar video for you, and today we're going to be looking at how to start collecting Kruleboys, and in particular, the Big Yellers subfaction of Kruleboys. Now, in this video, what we hope to go through is we're going to talk a little bit about what this army is, what it can do on the tabletop, and the things it brings us when we're playing this army in the game. And then we'll look at how we can start by building this army with a couple of units, and we'll look to expand that with a couple of other unit options later after that. Finally, we'll finish off the video giving you a little sample army list to show you how to build this army up and where to sort of give yourself a starting point. And, you know, you can either use our list, go ahead, or you can chop and change it and tweak it however you see fit. But at least we're giving you an idea here, is the idea to try and just show you how to build the initial list. So, with that said, let's talk about what Big Yellers is. Now, Big Yellers is a shooting heavy force of Oryx. Weird, right? But the Kruleboys definitely gave us a lot of tricks that Oryx have never really had in any version of Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and that is a true shooting list option. And so with the Big Yellers, you get a lot of shooting. First of all, you get Bolt Boys as battle line. This is really cool that we can have a different battle line option that's not Gut Rippers. This gives us options when building our list straight away. Now, we also get some first turn shooting bonuses for playing in this particular subfaction as well. The Big Yellers, we add 3 to the range characteristic of missile weapons used by units, and in addition, in the first battle round, each time a friendly Big Yellers Oryx unit shoots, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for the attacks. Pretty nice. Like, there's some really solid benefits there. An extra 3-inch range. This is really useful with things like Bolt Boys on their rapid fire range, so you can move and you've got a 15-inch shot on that first turn instead of 12. Or you potentially can stay still and you've got 27 inches of range. The Kill Bow definitely gets some added range to this as well for the same 15 and 27 instead of its other ranges. The good thing about Kruleboys in general is they've got good mortal wound output, and this means you have good mortal wound output at range with a Big Yellers army because you can put loads of Bolt Boys and Kill Bows down on the table, enabling you to do loads of mortal wounds. But with that said, how exactly do we start the force? So let's look at that next. And so to start the force, we're going to start with a Swamp Caller Shaman. Swamp Caller Shamans are really good. Their ability is they can give up their casting, which they do have some really good spells to enable you to do mortal wounds on 5s instead of 6s with your venom encrusted weapons rule. This is really cool. But like I said, they've actually got some really good spells in that lore. And I think you definitely have play for a couple, 2, or if not 3, or maybe even 4 Swamp Caller Shamans within a list of Kruleboys doing a myriad of different things. Definitely one in a larger army. I think 2 of these in general, as they've just got a ton of options you can play around with. The other option we're going to pick is, of course, Man-Skewer Bolt Boys. This is why we're playing the army, because we're wanting to take load of these. Now, I will say at the moment, both these models are currently available in the starter sets, and the Bolt Boys should be here very soon, hopefully. With that, though, Bolt Boys, they've got a long range. They've got 2 different shooting profiles, one for when they move, which they get 12-inch shot at that point, but in Big Yellers it will, of course, be 15, thanks to the +3. And then if they stay still, they get a 27-inch range. Now, it is important if you're wanting to get those extra shots to say you've moved your Bolt Boys, even if you just literally turn them to face and go, I've moved 2 millimeters here, but I'm going to get my shots off. This means on things like times when they're getting charged and all of that, because the ability to pick them off is when the unit attacks with the Man-Skewer crossbow, use the aim shot missile weapon characteristic if it did not make a normal move in the same turn. Otherwise, it always uses the hasty shot. So, yeah, there's some reasons why you potentially won't get extra shots. Things like your Unleash Hells, or if you're having to do other things in the army as well, potentially stuck in combat, you're not going to get those movement penalties, so you're not going to do the hasty shot. With that said, where can we expand from here? We've got a good shooting unit and a good wizard. And so, next off, well, let's talk about the B-Skewer Kill Bow, because that is the other designated sort of shooting option we've got here. This is an artillery piece for the Oryx, and it's got a couple of weapon profiles as well, as mentioned, and its damage is pretty interesting. So, it has the skewered special rule. So, to determine the damage characteristic for an attack made with the B-Skewer bolts, roll a number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic of the target unit. The damage characteristic is equal to 2 plus 1 for each 5 up on the maximum on the model's wounds that you roll, so with a maximum cap of 12. So you could potentially do 12 mortals to bigger things in the game. This is really nice, and you're almost guaranteed to get those 12 mortals off against something like a Mega Gun, which is really solid. A great little ranged artillery piece designated to take out the biggest targets in the game. Next up, we've got the Sludge Raker beast, and the Snatcher Boss variation of this I think is really interesting. So the big thing he does here, the Sludge Raker, is he gives us another cool ability that plays around with the mortal wounds. So we've got Sludge Raker Venom as a rule on this model. You add 1 to the number of mortal wounds caused by the Venom Encrusted Weapons battle trait if the unmodified hit roll was a 6, and the attacking unit is wholly within 12 inch of friendly units with this ability. Now, this is interesting because it adds an extra point of damage, right? However, this stacks somewhat with the Swamp Cooler Shaman. How this works is if you put both the Swamp Cooler Shaman and had the Sludge Raker Venom affecting your unit on the same unit, you would do your, say, you're shooting a unit of Bolt Boys who do 2 mortals on a hit roll of a 6. Thanks to the Shaman, they now do 2 mortal wound rolls on a 5+. However, the Sludge Raker Beast's ability only affects the roll of a 6, so every 6 would do +1 mortal wound for 3, while every 5 would still only do the 2. That's how those abilities stack. So they stack somewhat, but not entirely. They're still really good to use together. Next, we've got Gobsprak, the Mouth of Mork as well. The named character Shaman variation is a really solid pick. First of all, he's just got some really solid spells. He's got great magic defense ability. He does mortal wounds to enemy casters when he dispels them. And he's also got a really cool spell that I think works well with what we're trying to do with the army, and that is Summon Boggy Mist. So this adds 1 to your charge rolls, however, more importantly, it subtracts 1 from opponents' charge rolls as well. This is a really cool ability to combine with a gunline army because it's going to stop your opponent being able to charge you as much. That means every 3-inch charge is now a 4-inch charge while this spell is in effect. And the last unit to talk about is the Humble Gut Ripper. Gut Rippers are just a good battle line unit. They do mortal wounds in combat, and what these are going to provide is screens for your army more than anything. You definitely could use Hobgrots if you see fit. I think the ability of Gut Rippers to potentially do mortal wounds and have that effectiveness in a late game is why I generally prefer them over Hobgrots. I like the ability of the Gut Rippers to wander out with one of the Shamans in the army and then go do some damage to your opponent's lines because, you know, they have 2 attacks each. So if you can get them all in with those spears, always equip them with spears, get all those attacks in. There's at least 3 mortal wounds coming out of them, and if they can spike, potentially on 5s, you're going to get a lot more than 3 mortal wounds out of that unit. You're going to get closer to 6, which is good enough to, you know, do some serious damage to a general sort of chaff unit, or something that might be holding an objective, or remove a general 5 to 6 wound hero, which is nice. I do like Gut Rippers and the utility they bring just over Hobgrots, but Hobgrots definitely have a place. And so the last thing we want to do is we're going to show you a little sample army list here we've put together for the Kruleboys and the Big Yellers sub-faction. So, of course, we are playing in Big Yellers and Kruleboys. That's what the video is all about. Going for the grand strategy, sever the head, because with the amount of mortal wounds at range you can put out with this force, you should easily be able to take out your opponent's heroes, and I guess heroes of the size that are going to feature in games like this. Now, we've gone for a Swamp Cooler Shaman as our general. He's got the command trait Skilled Leader, which is one of the generic ones. This generates a command point on a 5+. Really nice and useful. We don't have any kill bosses in this force, so we are going to be needing those extra command points. Hopefully we can generate to pass some battleship tests if we're having to suffer them, or potentially use some of the rally rolls and stuff like that. And then he's got the artifact Amulet of Destiny to keep him alive. Spell-wise, we've gone for the Black Pit, which is a great sort of horde buster spell, but also works against heavily armoured foes as well, which is really nice. We've then got a second Swamp Cooler Shaman with Pokrot, and he's going to have the spell Nasty Hex, which means he can pick a unit and not allow them to use ward saves. Now, this is what I was talking about a Shaman potentially going out with a unit of Gut Rippers, casting this, and then sort of having that Gut Ripper unit protect one of our Shamans while he goes and casts this. They can go in, do lots of mortal wounds, and then we can also have a Bolt Boy unit shoot at range against the unit that has Nasty Hex if we really have a foe that needs to go down. For battle line, we've got 1 unit of 6 man-skewered bolt boys and a unit of 3 man-skewered bolt boys, along with a unit of 10 gut rippers. The solid core, the man-skewered bolt boys unit that has 6 models is definitely going to be around our general, taking his poison at all time. And while we need him at range, we can use the second shaman on the unit of 3 there, getting all of them. But of course, the second shaman has the ability to sort of move forward with the gut rippers as well, to allow us that utility to go get a piece off at the table using nasty hex to allow a 6-man unit to do the damage. This army comes on at 750 points on the nose, and it's a battle regiment, so that means it's a 1-drop force. We've got our singular reinforced unit we can have at this game point size and no allies, and a decent 50 wounds on the table as well, which is pretty solid for this sort of size game. Anyway, if you're collecting Kruleboys at the moment, you've just gotten into them with the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, let us know how you're going with them in the comments below. I've been loving playing my Kruleboys, and I'd love to hear some more ideas on how to play big yellows, especially in larger games. Leave your comments down there. It's all useful information for anyone new getting into the game. And so that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and while you're at it, leave us a comment and let us know what you liked about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine community we've got going at Cinderful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the description of the video to our Discord server. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining our Patreon or YouTube members. Our Patreon and YouTube members help decide what content we do on the channel. If you'd like to help support, that would be greatly appreciated, and we'd love to give a shout out to everyone who has helped support the channel via Patreon, and that is our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Dynet226, Anton Nilsson, and JJ Austrian. And a special thank you to our YouTube members who, by the way, don't forget, when we've got live streams and in the comments, you can use our special emojis on YouTube. You amazing people. Thank you to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turai12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, and a special thank you to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does an amazing job at all the background work in our Discord server. Thank you to both of you. You do an amazing job and do so much for the channel. That's it for today, folks, though. Stay safe and stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.